Broadcasting from the World Conference Center in Bonn, Germany, Solutions Review is on location at the FME User Conference 2023, the peak of data integration. Brought to you by Safe Software and Terra.
Hey, it's Doug Atkinson, and I am back here in Bonn, Germany at the Peak of Integration Conference, speaking with a couple of managing directors from Locus, one of the premium platinum partners for Safe Software, John Arnerich and Ruby Donaldson, Australia, New Zealand.
Yep.
Thanks very much for being here. We actually, we did this a year ago in Vancouver, and now we're over here in Germany. How long did it take you to get here?
I think all in all, well, it depends on whether I got the original flight. So I was flying via Hong Kong, and then a T9 typhoon hit. So my flight got cancelled, and I came days later. So generally, the travel time is about 35 hours, but minus the days I missed from that incident.
Well, we should spend more time together.
Yeah.
So tell me, all kidding aside, it's been a great year, I understand, for Locus over since we saw each other last. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on in Australia.
So we've been really busy converting a lot of our clients from their sort of perpetual licensing through to subscription. And off the back of that, we're doing a lot more sort of support stuff for the clients. And through that relationship, it's really pushing out a lot of projects. So we're sort of busy trying to find the resources to cover those, and it's keeping everyone really busy.
And is managing growth tricky as well these days on the business side?
It can be, because in Australia we're in a little bit of a different position than in New Zealand, because the Australian business is a little bit younger, and so we don't have as many resources actively in the location. So between John getting extremely busy at the same time as Australia, it can be a little bit of a struggle finding the right people to fill the right roles. And I think sometimes it's just all about sort of scheduling and trying to just get to everyone in a timely manner.
So John, talk a little bit about what you're finding for traction and how you're growing Locus.
We've got a couple of combinations, and unfortunately in New Zealand this year we've had one particular significant weather event that's caused devastation. It was Cyclone Gabrielle,
right,
and it caused a lot of damage into the central North Island of New Zealand. So what we've seen is a lot of damage to infrastructure, roads, rail, people have lost houses, vineyards have been wiped out, a lot of viticulture, orchards. Very sad, a lot of displaced people, and unfortunately some fatalities as well. So now the country is actually faced with quite a monumental task of rebuilding these infrastructural assets, and I suppose in a bittersweet kind of way. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit of experience with this. If we track back about 10 odd years, we had the earthquakes in Christchurch, and so we learned how to kind of rebuild the city, if you like. And then a few years later, we had another earthquake in a place called Kaikoura, which caused an awful lot of damage to a railway network system down the coast of New Zealand. So I guess the country has got a bit more expertise in these types of events. So what they've done is they've really taken out a lot of resource across the country, because you're not just talking about people who are working with data, which is what we do, but you're also talking about people who are actually working on diggers and people actually rebuilding the roads. And in fact,
the analog work.
Yeah, but then also just thinking, hey, should we put that road back where it was because there's been a landslide? Good chance that may occur again in the future. So we have to have a bit of a rethink on a national level as to how we're going to approach some of these things. And of course, climate change makes these weather events so much more powerful than potentially typically they were in the past. So there's a lot of thought that's going on, and we're keeping really busy working on those projects. That doesn't stop today work that we have with a whole raft of our clients as well. And resourcing the squeeze is on, right? And when you have these events that take out so much of that infrastructural kind of human resource, everybody's scrambling a little bit to make sure that they're covered for all the other work they have.
Yeah, so Ruby, talk about making that effort to come all the way here for this sort of an event. What do you get out of being here in person in a live event like this?
So in the beginning, we do a lot with all of the different partners, and that actually gives us a lot of insight into what everyone's doing around the world. and you can sort of take that home with you. And I think learning from each other is a really big part of it. In a place like Germany, we don't get it. There's not a lot of our client base out here, but we're making connections with the partners, and some of the sort of technical partners that Safe Software has can sometimes just be just as valuable to us as, say, meeting with the clients here. And also, like, from some of the presentations that we see, that provides us into a lot of insight into how others might be approaching different problems, the types of solutions that they're providing within the various industries. And we can take that home with us and do that with our clients.
If I can just build on that a little bit, I never fail to be amazed by the way in which people approach problems around the world. I often say if you take 10, professional FME users and you give them the same question, they'll come up with 10 different ways of solving that particular problem. They'll all work, they'll all be completely valid. But what it does do, it gives you a little bit of inspiration to look at a problem in a different way. As Ruby was saying, and approaching it, as I say, just with a different viewpoint. And you can see that when you go to some of these presentations, and it just gives you pause for thought as to, hey, there could be another way here that we can actually use in the circumstances that we face.
Yeah, so I'm curious about any examples you want to share with regard to some of the projects that you're working on. What is something that is lighting up right now for you guys?
Well, I suppose in the New Zealand context, we have a 3 Waters program, which is the infrastructure water assets of the country. So we are only a country of 5 million people, and we have regional water assets that are managed, I guess, up and down the country by, some groups that are very large. And you think of Auckland with about a third of the population, they look after, a significant amount of New Zealand's infrastructural assets in that regard. But then you go all the way down to the bottom of the South Island, and there's some very small groups. So the government have had a look at this, or the present government have had a look at this and thought there's perhaps a better uniform way in which we can bring together all of our assets, managing them in a uniform, holistic kind of a way from a central government perspective. So it's a different think, a different approach, but of course trying to bring together all the disparate ways in which water assets have been sort of treated, if you like, requires a lot of thinking, and then bringing together a whole bunch of data sets and a whole bunch of processes into trying to assimilate them into one uniform type of approach. And of course FME, just about the most perfect thing that you can think of to bringing together all of these different types of processes and to come up with one, homogeneous way of actually doing it. So yeah, we're lucky to be involved in that project with some companies that we have relationships with, and so we're able to be involved in, possibly one of the biggest projects that we'll ever do from our small part of it. So you kind of feel really good about being involved in something that, hopefully there'll be something that comes out of this in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and still be going strong, and you can say, hey, we had a role to play in that, and you kind of feel really good about yourself because you did do that. So yeah, that's probably the biggest project that we're working on at the moment.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, in terms of its longevity, the advantage of having FME in there, because it's kind of one of one, right? It's nothing really on the horizon anytime soon that's going to replace it. And the way they're building it out here doesn't seem like anybody's dissatisfied. So I'm curious what advice are you providing to your customers and prospects with regard to thinking about, employing FME or even just integrating data?
So, like I said before, off the back of the subscription stuff, we're trying to sort of help clients understand where else they can take FME. So part of that process, Locus has developed a bit of a health check review for us to come in, because a lot of them are established clients that have been using FME for a really long time, but they're wanting to understand where the pain points are with it, where they could be more efficient, where they could be just utilising FME in a better way. So our consultants are coming in and doing that review, and then off the back of that, a lot of clients who've become quite concerned with security because they're having to do a lot more patching and that sort of thing, which takes their systems offline, are looking at expanding out the server architecture that they have in-house. And that's sort of been enabled by the subscription model, because the barrier to licensing has been removed, and so they can think in a much sort of larger scale. And as safe software push towards FME being more of an enterprise solution, that comes up sort of more and more. And I think that's really common in Australia. We're doing quite a lot of that.
Yeah, so John, you've seen some of the evolution of safe software and FME.
Yeah.
You see where they're headed, and,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you have a perspective on that. What do you think in terms of that kind of more mainstreaming of the safe software approach to data integration?
I think, you look back as to where they've come from and where they are, and now you're looking at things like AI, right? And honestly, what's your imagination like? And so if you're looking at how you're going to manage things like ChatGPT, working in with AI, what's a platform that's going to help you do that, yet still help you with your traditional data sets that you've been using for decades, if you like. And for me, it's that one piece of software that just knits it together, enables you to talk from this, data type to this other one. And sometimes we have to go to our clients and just say, hey, this is some of the new features of FME that have come through in the latest release. Did you realise actually that we can now incorporate things like AI into it, things like ChatGPT, and it's just an awareness for them to think as well, maybe we can just use the same software that we've got, being FME, to now look at these new challenges that are coming on the horizon, so that they understand SAFE is kind of thinking with them, and SAFE are always looking at what's coming up next, trying to be right at that forefront of the new data challenges that are out there. But maybe not so much data challenges, but more data opportunities to make the most out of what's possible. Okay, so like FME really is that tool that you can rely on, that's going to be stepping alongside you and stepping alongside the other developments in industry, and just help you progress your business. So yeah, it's super exciting, but it's a big world, and sometimes you sit back and think, oh my gosh, there's just like so much data.
How are you going to do it all?
How's anybody going to do it all? And thank goodness you got FME that's going to at least help you get cracking on it.
Yeah, no, it's as we were hearing this morning, it's an amazing time. I mean, we really are kind of in a major inflection point with AI and the amount of data that can be processed. And
I think they've been calling it the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
No,
I saw that today.
It's nothing quite like it since the internet. I mean, and even then prior to that, PCs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really
printing presses, if you want to go back far enough.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, then you'd have to go back to like maybe aviation or something, but it's like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's cool to be a part of it. Like you get everything you do and touch in this industry is kind of bettering lives, and it does feel really good to be sort of a part of an industry that's revolutionizing the way we do things.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about what gets you excited when you're talking to customers. I mean, what are customers? What are the kind of fun conversations that you're having with customers? I mean, it's not always, put this fire out, right? It's like you can show them a little bit of what the future might hold, and you can start to think forward a little bit. I mean,
I think you can take this one. I think you have an answer.
So I think one of the really exciting things is that there's so much pressure because of the squeeze for human resources out there and skilled resources.
yes.
So I think if you do look at something like AI, for example, you're not looking to use that to replace people, you're using it to replace tasks. So a cognitive kind of bunch of problems that you might have. And so what that allows you to do is to free up that person's time to do something that perhaps requires some more thought, some more ingenuity. So I think there can be a bit of a misconception about AI sometimes, about it's going to take over people's jobs and take over the world. I think it's really good from a cognitive perspective to actually take over tasks, which then frees up time so that your staff get to do more interesting, exciting things. So I guess those discussions, and I think it's a slow burn a little bit where people are feeling more confident that AI can come in and do those types of work. But when you show them that some of the really big entities in this world are doing those projects, they're not moonshots. You're not trying to,
No, you're absolutely right, and I think I think people are also beginning to recognize that AI is not human, and the creativity and the ability to interpret and see things a little bit more broadly. And
their helicopter view, perhaps.
yeah, it's just not. I mean, maybe it'll be there someday. It's nowhere near there now, and so
No.
smart people with these types of powerful tools make for a very strong combination for clients and projects. So I think it's great that we got a chance to catch up again. Best of luck with the travel back.
We got a couple of days elsewhere, so that's always good.
Yeah,
break it up a bit.
That's good.
So we'll use a bit of AI to try and just sort through all the potential travel routes back to New Zealand.
I'll tell you, that's
and
one
Australia.
job that I wouldn't mind AI jumping in on. Is
Yeah, totally right.
Travel connection
Yeah.
management.
Absolutely.
Well, we've got a
It's on the way.
consultant, Jan, who is actually from Bonn. So we've actually used him to navigate us around the city, which has been so helpful.
Yeah.
Whenever I've had to do it on my own, there's a certain amount of anxiety and fear that I'm on the wrong station.
Yes, yes, yes. No, we actually were out to dinner last night. There was a moped accident right outside the restaurant.
Oh no!
Oh.
and it was actually very kind of heartening that amount of people that got up from dinner
Yeah.
and ran out to help.
Oh, that's good.
There were doctors eating,
Oh, wow.
and they were out there, and it was
wow.
something.
Was it really bad?
It was bad for the moped rider. He kind of went into the back of a car.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't good.
No, it
But
doesn't sound it.
but it was a good human story of people helping people. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see. Nice
Cool.
city.
It is a nice city.
is.
Yeah, we're enjoying it.
is.
Well, like I said, it's a pleasure catching up. Best of luck with the rest of the year and all the projects, and growing Locus even more.
Thanks very
We'll
much for
hopefully
having
be
me.
We're
able to-
excited. We're excited about the future. Excited working with Safe. Excited working with FME.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a really hot company. The Don and Dale are doing some really amazing
Sure
things.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Cool. Good.
Thank
Well, great.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Cool.